prison 4 times, armed robbery, meth addiction, suicidal at 38. Today his bread is in every grocery store in America and sold for $275 million. A 4-time convicted felon who spent 15 years behind bars built the #1 organic bread brand in the country. Dahl was 42 years old, standing at the Portland Farmers Market on a summer morning in August 2005. Behind a folding table, a few dozen loaves of bread nobody had ever heard of. He'd been out of prison for 8 months. Before that, Dave had spent most of his adult life in a cell. 4 separate prison sentences, 15 years total. Armed robbery, burglary, drug dealing, assault, meth addiction that consumed everything. He grew up in Portland, Oregon. His father, Jim Dahl, owned a small bakery called Nature Bake. Founded in 1955, a Seventh-day Adventist family making organic, vegan, whole-grain bread before organic was even a word people used. Dave started working in the bakery at 9 years old. He hated it. By his teens, he was experimenting with marijuana, cocaine, LSD, alcohol. By his late teens, methamphetamine. He dropped out of high school in 1980. In 1987, at 24 years old, Dave was arrested for burglarizing a house, his first prison sentence. He got out in 1989. His brother Glenn offered him a job at the family bakery. Dave took it, then quit, moved to Massachusetts, got arrested again, armed robbery, more prison. He got out, went back to Portland, got arrested again. In 1997, 5 separate arrests across 3 Oregon counties, all meth-related, drug distribution, property crimes to fund the habit. He was sent to Snake River Correctional Institution near Ontario, Oregon. By now, Dave Dahl had spent more of his adult life inside prison walls than outside of them. Everyone said the same thing. He's a career criminal. Some people can't be saved. He'll die in prison or on the streets. 4-time loser. That's who he is. He didn't listen. Here's what Dave knew that everyone else missed. Rock bottom isn't the end. It's the foundation. At 38 years old, sitting in his cell at Snake River, Dave hit the lowest point of his life. Suicidal, trying to figure out a way to end it. He wrote a request to the prison wardens. Inmates call it a kite. He was begging for help. The prison psychiatrist prescribed antidepressants. Something shifted. For the first time in decades, the fog lifted. Dave started thinking clearly. He picked up a guitar, started learning faster than he ever had. He enrolled in a vocational program for computer-aided drafting and design. He didn't just pass the course, he excelled so fast that he started teaching it to other inmates. A man who had been written off as hopeless was now teaching other prisoners how to build something. So he made a promise to himself. He was going back to the family bakery. Not as the screw-up brother who needed a favor, as someone who could actually contribute. On December 27, 2004, Dave Dahl walked out of prison for the last time. He was 41 years old. He had dollars. No resume, no reputation. Just a brother named Glenn who was willing to give him one more chance. Glenn hired him at $12 an hour. Dave threw himself into the work. Seeds, whole grains, organic ingredients, blue cornmeal crusts, sunflower seeds, flax, pumpkin, sesame. He took what he'd learned in drafting class, precision, patience, iteration, and applied it to bread recipes. Experimented obsessively. He created loaves so packed with seeds they looked like they'd been rolled through a bird feeder. He worked 100-hour weeks. But here's the part nobody talks about. Nature Bake was a small operation, a family bakery that had been around since 1955, but had never broken out. Dave wasn't inheriting a gold mine. He was inheriting a survival business in a commodity industry where Wonder Bread, Nature's Own, Sara Lee, and Pepperidge Farm dominated every shelf in every store, from Safeway to Albertsons. His brother Glenn was skeptical. The sales manager, Richard Szymanski, who'd been with the company for decades, pushed back. Dave wanted full production shifts dedicated to his new breads. He wanted shelf space taken from the existing product line. A convicted felon with zero business experience demanding that a 50-year-old bakery bet its future on his weird seed bread. Nobody thought it would work. Dave didn't care. In August 2005, he brought his first 4 bread varieties to the Portland Farmers Market Summer Loaves Festival. Blues bread, rolled in organic blue cornmeal. Good seed, packed with flax and sunflower seeds. Rock and rye, and the original killer bread. They sold out. That's when everything changed. Local Portland grocers started calling. They wanted to carry the bread. Fred Meyer, the biggest grocery chain in the Pacific Northwest, said no. Dave kept pushing. A year later, Fred Meyer reversed course and put Dave's killer bread on their shelves. By 2009, Costco picked up the brand along the I-5 corridor from Seattle to Sacramento. By 2010, 30 employees became 190. New Seasons Market, Whole Foods, and independent grocers across the Pacific Northwest couldn't keep it on the shelves. By 2012, 280 employees. Annual sales exploded from $3 million to $53 million. But Dave wasn't done. He did something his own marketing team told him was insane. He put his criminal record on the packaging, right on the bread bag. A cartoon of himself with long hair and a mustache, playing guitar. And on the back, his story: "I was a 4-time loser before I realized I was in the wrong game." The marketing team tried to stop him. Dave fired them. He refused to hide. Every loaf carried the story of a man who'd been in prison 4 times and found something worth building. Consumers didn't just accept it, they loved it. The Breadhead Nation grew to over 100,000 passionate followers. Then he did something else that changed the industry. He started hiring ex-convicts, not as a PR stunt, as a core business practice. 1/3 of the company's 300 employees had criminal records. Dave knew what it felt like to come out of prison with nothing. No one willing to give you a shot. He gave them shots. In December 2012, New York private equity firm Good Partners purchased a 50% stake. They brought in CEO John Tucker to expand nationally. Sales increased 130%. Distribution expanded from 11 states to all 50. Inc. magazine named Dave's Killer Bread one of the 5,000 fastest-growing companies in America. By 2015, annual revenue hit $160 million to $170 million, a 32% compound growth rate over 3 years. Retail sales up 168% in 3 years. Dave's Killer Bread had become the #1 organic bread in America. In August 2015, Flowers Foods, one of the largest bakery companies in the United States with $375 billion in annual sales, acquired Dave's Killer Bread for $275 million in cash. Dave Dahl, the 4-time convicted felon who'd been suicidal in a prison cell a decade earlier, walked away a multimillionaire. Today, Dave's Killer Bread sells over 30 product varieties in every major grocery chain in the country. Costco, Whole Foods, Kroger, Safeway, Walmart, Target. Every loaf USDA certified organic and non-GMO project verified. It remains the best-selling organic bread in America. The company's Second Chance employment program has helped thousands of formerly incarcerated people find work, all because a 42-year-old ex-con who spent 15 years in prison refused to let his worst chapter be his last chapter. He turned a meth addiction into a bread empire. He turned a $12 an hour bakery job into a $275 million acquisition. He turned a criminal record into a brand story that made people believe in second chances. He proved that your past doesn't get to decide your future. Someone else already did. What are you using as an excuse not to start? What mistake from your past are you letting define your future? What second chance are you too afraid to take? Dave Dahl was a meth addict for 2 decades. He was imprisoned 4 times. He was suicidal at 38. He was hired at $12 an hour at age 41. He brought bread to a farmer's market at 42. He built the #1 organic bread brand in America. His company sold for $275 million. Because he understood something most people don't. Your worst chapter doesn't have to be your final chapter. The thing that broke you can be the thing that builds you. The people who've been through the most are often the ones willing to work the hardest. Stop letting your past hold you hostage. Start thinking like Dave Dahl. Show up anyway. Build something anyway. Bet on yourself even when nobody else will. And never let anyone tell you that your worst years disqualify you from your best ones. Sometimes the most powerful brands are built by the most unlikely people. Sometimes the greatest comebacks start in the places nobody would ever think to look. Because when you've already lost everything, you've got nothing left to protect and everything left to prove. Don't quit.